Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Arcane Assist Battle Report series. This video is recorded in some ways in response to Premium Dojo that Chain Attack did. So if you subscribe to their dojo and you want to listen to the episode that this is somewhat in reference to, they did a discussion of a couple of the OTC lists. We're here with Evan McVedries, whose list was featured on that particular discussion, and we're playing his Zaadesh2 list. So some commentary about that. This is also another one of the Ontario Team Championship lists that I'm playing today. We had a request on the channel to play some more Issyria games. So this is Issyria, being one of the other teams that we have from our local shop, which is Black Knight Primal. I'm playing Kevin Sparrow's Issyria list, which I helped him build for some specific matchups. So I think it should be an interesting game. I'll go over the pieces that are in my list, and then Evan, I'm sure, will do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm playing Issyria. Out of tier, I have Hyperion into Phoenix as her battle group. Gives her a couple of good heavy hitters, an arc node, and some good guns. I have a maximum unit of Sentinels with the unit attachment. I have 3 Arcanists. And then I have Elara, and in her battle group, I have Discordia. Elara, Tyro of the Third Chamber, is kind of an all-star with Discordia. It's one of my favorite matchings for her. So we'll see how this list plays out in a moment. And Evan, what did you bring today?
So, my Zaadesh2 list has Tiberion, a Bronzeback, 2 Gladiators, a Sentry, a max unit of Beast Handlers, and a min unit of Beast Handlers. And an Agonizer.
Oh, yeah, the Agonizer's super relevant.
Yep.
In fact, it's probably the swing point for the matchup because being able to make Weapon Master Sentinels POW 10 instead of POW 12, I think prevents them from killing a lot of your Arm 21 heavies.
Yep.
Yeah. So without further ado, we'll jump right into the match.
So, I won the die roll. I chose to go on the left-hand side here, mostly because I want the forest to help block line of sight with some clouds.
Yep, very, very relevant.
And I can see through the water, so you don't get the same treatment.
Yeah, and that water is actually really inconveniently placed. It makes it hard for me to position my jacks really centrally. So, and the position of the walls is actually super awkward too. Like, I wanted to deploy Hyperion a little bit more centrally, but I had to put him here because a run does not quite clear that wall. So I have to either be on this side of it or something slightly more awkward. So this is not a great side for me.
And the line breaker objective in the middle isn't helping you.
No, it is certainly not. So Issyria put Admonition up on the Phoenix, and she put Inviolable Resolve on Hyperion. Sentinels ran, filled up some space. Elara cast... she's going to cast something in a second. We'll get there. She's going to cast Speed of Death, and she advances 6 inches, just tucking up over here, past my objective a little bit. And Discordia is going to run 12 inches up with the flag and be in range. My Arcanist position, one of them fairly centrally just behind the objective, one of them far flanking, and then the last one up behind Discordia. So my goal here is to apply pressure pretty evenly across Evan's side of the board. How are you feeling about the matchup, Evan?
So, looking at it, you've got Sentinels, which kill heavies, which is bad for me. The Hyperion with Crusader's Call out-threats every beast I have.
Threatening 12 inches is a big deal.
Discordia and Elara is interesting, but and the spray is going to be incredibly annoying, but I feel like I can deal with that fairly well.
Okay.
And the Phoenix is not a huge problem as, like, I'm not afraid of it hitting me. It doesn't out-threat me. Or does it? Is also threats 12 with Crusader's Call?
It threats 13, but
okay.
It's in a really awkward spot because it doesn't have Pathfinder.
Crusader's Call doesn't give... Okay.
Sure doesn't.
Cool.
No, Crusader's Call is not mobility. Hyperion has Pathfinder base, so I've got a lot of Pathfinder in the list because Sentinels have Relentless Charge. But that Phoenix is really sad about that water.
Yeah. And I also don't like blinding light all that much. It's not great for me.
Yeah, I mean, it prevents you from making ranged attacks and gives you a def debuff. I don't feel like you're really much of a def skew.
No, oh wait, I thought it said you couldn't charge. Never mind. I'm thinking of something else.
Blinding light is nothing.
Cool. In that case, I don't care about blinding light. So here, I set up my sentry to contest the left-hand flag, or the top flag in this particular case.
Mm-hmm.
And he out-threats Discordia, because she just is there to deal with Discordia when the time comes.
Yeah.
And I move up Gladiator and kind of near the fuel cache cloud. Put the Agonizer up close, just to be prepared to be relevant with gnawing pain next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then put the Bronzeback and Tiberion up pretty aggressively. I also put a cloud in front to block line of sight to Tiberion and the Gladiator from the forest.
Yep.
And I know you get true sight from your feet, but if you want to blow a feat for that, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting cat and mouse with the feet and with the burning ash, because you can deny line of sight to a lot of my pieces. I can have it on a turn, but then that does cost me my feet to do it. So I actually consider feeding this turn. I debated a little bit. Elara moves with Apparition. And, yeah.
Sorry, I did put Inviolable Resolve on the Bronzeback.
Yeah, that's the upkeep you see on the Bronzeback is Inviolable Resolve, and it's pretty great.
And I do have Battle Charged up on Zaadesh.
Yeah, so you have Countercharge in your whole battle group. I measure 16 with Discordia to the Agonizer, and that is in by almost a full inch. So I've got a little bit of room to play with, and I've got a spray on the Agonizer. Line of sight to the Agonizer is available to me. I can't choose him as a target, but clouds don't block sprays, so the fuel cache doesn't prevent that spray from hitting him. Actually, I may be able to choose him as a target just based on the little tiny gap that's between the...
Yeah.
I think there is a gap between the Gladiator and the spray. But that's the working theory, at least. So if anyone doesn't know this, Speed of Death, Elara's upkeep spell, which she did upkeep, it's basically battle group refuge. It's if you hit an enemy model with a ranged or melee attack, at the end of your activation, you can make a full advance. True of all models in your battle group, which is really, really good as an upkeep spell.
Yeah, just having Discordia be able to walk 6?
Yeah, speed
walk
6.
6, spray 10, walk 6 back is really good. So you're currently in the Sentry's threat range is what you're checking there.
Yeah, this is actually really tight because I want to be in range to spray the Agonizer, but I don't want to get countercharged by the Sentry. And then I want to hit the Agonizer, hit the Gladiator, brain damage the Gladiator, put relevant points into the Agonizer, who's just the beast to kill, and also Speed of Death back out of threat range of the Sentry. So this is a really, really tight little vector I'm trying to chase. And I've got to be just out of his 6, and I've got to be just in the 10, and I've got to be just in my 6, and I've got to reposition after that back to a relevant spot. We check.
So once all of this measuring is done, he can get there with just a hair.
So it's worth noting a second ago, there was a slight... I bumped Discordia slightly on the first measurement and bumped her forward slightly on the next measurement, but she is, in case you were wondering about that one little finger movement, because that did definitely happen. I boost to hit
the Agonizer.
Just the Agonizer, because he's the one I really need the damage on, but I feel like I can pretty reliably hit the Gladiator. And then I boost damage on both. The Agonizer, I'm dice +1. How many boxes does an Agonizer have, Evan?
13.
And I do 16 damage.
Rolled higher than he has boxes.
Yep, I murder the Agonizer, which is
super
huge.
relevant.
Yeah, that's a TSN game changer right there. And then Speed of Death lets me move back.
TSN turning point?
Whatever. If anyone knows me, I'm very not a sports person.
I'm also not a sports person.
Well, you're in broadcasting or something.
Eh.
Isn't that true? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess that's true.
Okay, so there. Broadcasting. So the Arcanist moves up, bases Discordia, just trying to be relevant to, apply concentrated power next turn, be well positioned to repair. The Phoenix moves up, it boosts to hit a shot at the Gladiator, who's already damaged from the Discordia spray, and Evan, I believe, wisely shield guards here.
Yes, I take the shot on the Sentry, just don't want that much damage going into my Gladiator.
I do a point to the Sentry and light him on fire. It's crit fire on the gun, so that's nice. I mean, he gets a shield against fire damage rolls, so I'm not going to do a ton, but Hyperion moves to within 12 inches of the Bronzeback. This is really important because I get shots at 12 inches, so I get 2 shots and 3 shots respectively. And if he doesn't move back, I can charge him next turn with Crusader's Call. So I'm just not boosting a hit, boosting damage. As Evan pointed out before, it's an inviolable result Bronzeback. It's arm 21. So I'm base -9. So I'm boosting damage, hoping to get a couple of points on each of the shots that I boost on, and maybe get lucky with some of the other damage rolls. Boost hit my last before the last shot. And I think all told here, including a nice spike on an unboosted damage roll, I do, 6 damage?
6 damage.
Yep. Just enough to make him angry. I land an AoE 5. It scatters to the nowhere. We carefully measure that it scatters 5 inches to the 6 and lands, boop, nowhere. That's okay. I mean, I'm just, if I get lucky and kill 2 Paingivers, that's great.
Yup.
But in the meantime, Arcanist comes back a little bit, just positioning. I'm contesting both of my flags in case Evan wants to make an aggressive play for scenario. Issyria generates 1 shot, shoots the Bronzeback with it, does no damage. That's her ancillary shot on Hyperion. She chose to dial up the little gun, and then it gets D3 shots. Sentinels are going to move up. They're staying just out of threat range of the Sentry. They're just kind of filling space. It's not especially important that they be base to base here, so I'm just kind of trying to fan them so they've got lots of vectors for charging. I expect Evan's going to come in with a Sentry and kill my Phoenix, and then my Sentinels are going to kill his Sentry. And then that's a trade I'm okay with. That's my thought on the process. I probably don't, I only get 1 heavy next turn. It's my suspicion. But we'll see.
So my Agonizer's dead. So I Spirit Reave for 1 and get the rest of the Fury from the appropriate beasts.
Did I have the right read on the situation, Evan? Do you feel like the Agonizer was that big a deal?
Yes. It really changes how this works. Because this turn, I'm going to be doing a lot of thinking and trying to figure this out. Just because it's a situation where I have to walk into your threat ranges.
Yep. Crusader's Call is a really expensive spell, but just dictating the line of engagement is so amazing. Because Assyria's lists are typically fairly combined arms, as is the Virtue of Retribution. With the exception of Sentinels, everything here brings a gun element, and she can amplify that. So I've got, Discordia Spray with a yo-yo. I've got the Phoenix's range 10 gun, which is pretty compelling. And I've got Hyperion's range 12 guns, which I put some damage into. So I'm just, come at me every turn, just bullying that line of engagement a little bit more forward. And especially in Line Breaker.
Yeah, this scenario is just brutal when you don't have... it's one thing to say, Line Breaker is just ridiculously good for gun lines. But it's another to just say... It's good if you have a couple guns, and if you have none, you're in a bad spot. And my list doesn't have any guns. It's looking a little rough for me for scenario.
For sure.
Because, maybe if I had a gun, I could shoot Elara and run onto that flag, because the disco would be inert.
Yep.
And then points happen. But unfortunately, I can't do that. So start with the simple stuff that just is happening regardless of whether or not I choose to go in. Beast handlers go up, medicate the Sentry, enrage both beasts. I probably should have also medicated the Gladiator. It just wasn't on my mind at the time. So I realized this and decide, I'll just use the other unit of beast handlers. Goes base to base, will medicate. The rest of the unit will go up beside Tiberion and Bronzeback, medicate the Bronzeback twice, and doesn't have to enrage him because he's not in threat range of anything.
I will say this for SKORNE, they can just attrition like a boss.
So heal the Gladiator for 3. He goes up from the 4 boxes he took from Discordia to almost full. Has taken effectively 1 damage. Bronzeback heals for 5. Has taken effectively 1 damage.
Yeah, I'm not softening his pieces spectacularly with guns, but at least it's pressure.
Yeah. So there's a couple. The Gladiator here is going to walk over to within 6 of the Sentry, rush him for 2, loses a Fury from Leadership Titans, so effectively
this
1.
is the other Gladiator in your list, the second Gladiator, right?
Because there are 2.
And one of them is brain damage, so he cannot cast spells.
Mm-hmm. So the Sentry is now rushed. He is getting prodding from a beast handler, and he's ready to go in on that Phoenix. The debate I'm having here, though, is whether or not I feat.
So your dice even for damage on your good attack, right?
Yes.
Power 18?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the biggest problem, I think, is that you need 6s to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah, because if you miss one of those, I think you go from killing a Phoenix to not killing a Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. And here I'm basically trying to jam or initiate a peace trade with Tiberion, because I have no choice walking into this Hyperion. It's either I sit here and get shot at, and he just keeps. I have to back up because he walks within melee threat, or I have to give him something. And I'm hoping that this will present a chance for the Bronzeback to go in on the Hyperion.
Yeah, that's and possibly even to countercharge it on the Hyperion, depending on where you position Tiberion.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Do you think about cycling Inviolable Resolve to Hyperion?
Yes.
Okay.
It's less great now that I don't have the Agonizer,
because it would be arm 25 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, and instead it's 23, which when you have concentrated power is dice even. But here I eventually decide that I'll feat. I'll get into a position where Tiberion will be still in my control. And I put Inviolable Resolve onto Tiberion.
You do cycle Inviolable Resolve over. Okay.
Yes.
And you rush Tiberion?
I
Just
run him.
Okay, cool. And Leadership
Titans removes the Fury.
Yeah, that's so good. Like the Bronzeback just
And
bosses Tiberion around.
I debate leaving the Bronzeback in range for sack pawn, but I feel like it's more important to contest that flag just so you don't run the Arcanist or whatever over. In hindsight, probably could have just left him where he was, or even just moved closer to the Hyperion, because I can countercharge stuff that goes onto the flag.
That's true.
If entirely necessary. Sentry goes in on the Phoenix, using its halberd for the charge attack, charging for free, needing 4s to hit now.
4s to hit, so possible to miss. You do not. You hit with authority. And just 5 damage.
5 damage for the charge attack.
3 initials?
3 initials.
Second initial hits. Spikes, truckload of damage.
And the shield bash rolls 10.
Also a truckload
dice
of damage.
Even.
You have now crippled movement. You buy an attack and kill.
And I then use my Animus for ornery, so I get retaliatory strike. So now with my feat, I have defensive strike, retaliatory strike, and countercharge.
That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with.
Sentries are really good Zaadesh kind of just turns up what they do, because he can give them inviolable resolve, so they basically become mini Tiberion because they can't be pushed and or knocked down.
Yep.
They can still be placed, but c'est la vie.
Issyria has no place effect in her game.
And then defensive strike and retaliatory strike is just silly.
Yeah, it is. At this point, you're leading with your 2 most heavily armored beasts, which I think is a really smart way to initiate the trade.
Yeah, because there's a chance, albeit somewhat slim, but there's a chance that they don't die, and I have more to trade up with.
I have to move Hyperion into charge range of the Bronzeback to kill Tiberion, and I have to charge Sentinels into the Sentry to kill it, and then I'm in range of the Gladiator. So I think that's really smart. Now let's watch it all go wrong.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I think you do some things really smart here, and I think you make some mistakes. So we'll talk about that in a second. Elara, Tyro of the Third Chamber, apparates. Issyria activates first. She pops her feet. She advances 6 inches. She casts Velocity for 1 to move a little bit further. And with her feet up, she ancillary attacks Discordia. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong stack of focus. She did allocate 2 to Hyperion. I just pulled it with her, and it's not there. Discordia gets a spray, targets Evan's objective, and by targeting Evan's objective, hits both beasts. The Gladiator, or the Sentry, was precariously positioned on top of a small bridge on the water.
Yeah.
And as a result, is a little less stable than we'd like him to be.
Has a weird dock thing. It's not fantastic.
So with the feet up, I'm dropping lowest, and I hit both beasts. For damage, I'm -7 on the Sentry. I put 1 point into him, maybe 2.
Something like that.
Yeah. And on the Gladiator, I actually don't do any damage. And brain damage is contingent on... I think I do. I do damage this time. I do a couple of points of damage, which means the Gladiator is once again brain damaged. Arcanist moves over to cast Concentrated Power, and Tiberion charges him.
So I figured, if he doesn't have Concentrated Power, dice -2, probably doesn't kill Tiberion. He has another Arcanist that I did not notice among the many sword-wielding Sentinels. So he gets Concentrated Power anyway.
So this is a big mistake, I think, because Tiberion defensive strikes when Hyperion walks in and does a bunch of damage to his shield.
Yep.
But the big deal, the thing that I think is why this was a mistake, is by moving Tiberion up to do that countercharge, I can kill Tiberion from outside of the Bronzeback's threat range.
Yeah. And that kind of... it defeats the whole purpose as to why I put Tiberion up in the first place.
So now instead of initiating a peace trade with my Colossal, you've given me a free Tiberion. I mean, I have to activate a bunch of stuff to kill him, but it's my feet turn. It's the best turn I have available to crack armor with, and I'm into your 2 highest armor targets. I'm probably going to lose a bunch of pieces in reprisal to the Sentry, but I'm definitely safe from losing Hyperion, which I think keeps me in this game. So it's Discordia time. Discordia gets Concentrated Power from the 3rd Arcanist. She walks forward 5 whole inches, gets into defensive strike range of the Sentry.
It hits.
Your dice +2.
Does some damage.
Yeah, 8 points of damage.
I also countercharge with the Gladiator.
I'm not sure this was the right call.
I was hoping that I'd hit the correct column. Your cortex.
Yep.
And then neither heavy would die.
You actually did hit the correct column.
Yeah?
Yeah, you hit every piece of damage you crippled the shields and splashed over into the cortex column enough to do damage, but just not enough to finish it. The Gladiator's what, dice +1? +2?
He was dice even with a charge.
Right. Because he's not enraged at this point, right?
He is not.
So
And-
Discordia hits both initials. I choose not to hit the Sentry because I'm so close to losing my Cortex and I'm afraid of the Retaliatory Strike. So I punch both attacks into the Gladiator and then chain attack smite. He's knocked down 5 inches away, do good damage to him. And then I buy an attack on the Sentry. Great damage to the Sentry. He retaliates and he hits and he cripples my Cortex.
Yeah. So you don't get to make more attacks because your focus drops when your Cortex is destroyed.
Yeah, you lose all focus points that are currently on you. I now proc Speed of Death, and importantly, I advanced, because I was 1 inch away from that Sentry, I advanced out of range for countercharge again. But Speed of Death does say ignoring free strikes. So first Sentinel activates, charges the Gladiator who's knocked down from just outside of the melee range of the Sentinel, or the Sentry. Sorry. The rest of the Sentinels have to charge the Sentry. I thought maybe I'd need a couple of these to help finish Tiberion, but I guess I don't. Because Hyperion got pretty... I mean, lucky, but also the feat is such a good damage multiplier that it sometimes...
Yeah.
You're like, man, you did 8 damage on every attack. I'm like, yeah, but my feat does let me choose 2 of the dice, so that helps multiply that damage by quite a bit. So, a bunch of Sentinels... like 9 weapon masters, sorry, less than that, like 7 weapon masters charging, and a little cluster of them screening for Hyperion a little bit.
Not that I can get to him anyway.
Yeah, just being on that side of the board to at least force engagement. I would very much like the Bronzeback to come in to kill 2 or 3 Sentinels so that Hyperion can kill it on the following turn. That would be a bad deal, but a good deal for me. The Sentinel who charged the Gladiator finishes it, which is awesome.
Yeah. When you're rolling 5 dice, drop the lowest for damage, it's real good. Like,
Yeah.
even that was not a spectacular roll. Did 4 damage
Yeah.
to the Sentry.
Yeah, with a bunch of 1s in there, does 4 damage still. Yeah, the ability to multiply damage that you get out of this feat and Weapon Masters, just roll buckets of dice and you will do buckets of damage. It's a funny little system like that. I do manage to kill the Sentry with the billion attacks I have. Elara moves up pretty aggressively, I think. Just into position. She's hoping to maybe score that flag next turn. So, that's me.
So you flip it to me, and I go in the tank. Which, I mean, I don't have a lot of models left, and I have to deal with a lot of things. And I have the time, so I'm going to use it.
So what do you think of those countercharges? Mistakes or just bad matchup?
I thought the Tiberion one was a mistake. That was bad. I'm still not sure the Gladiator one was all that terrible.
Okay. Do you think like with a Gladiator in reserve right now, you're better positioned?
The fact that I still have a Gladiator is helpful. That's for sure.
Because my thinking was if Discordia, with the stack of focus she had, kills the Sentry, which is possible, right?
Yep.
Like she gets the chain attack. He can't be knocked down, so she probably doesn't make the chain attack. But she has 5 full attacks on him at dice -3.
Yeah.
And the feat, which is a good damage multiplier at dice -3. It's not worth boosting if you've got the feat. Then she does maybe enough damage to kill him. Repo's out of there, and then I get 3 Sentinel charges on the Gladiator. My thought was you kill 1 with defensive strike. Oh, I guess you don't have reach.
I don't have reach.
Okay.
So
I get 3 in, and you take 3 Weapon Master charges.
which probably do.
Your dice -7, so they do 7 points apiece, which is 21, and then another about 6 points from the feat on that, so 27 points.
Which kills it.
Did he only have 27 boxes left?
I think he might have had 29.
Didn't he get healed to just 1 damage taken?
Yeah, so he had 29 boxes.
Okay, so theoretically he would have lived at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe the Discordia spray did a point to him, a couple of points.
Yeah.
On this turn. Yeah, the ancillary spray helped a lot. Discordia is like able to do a lot of work in the Issyria list because of that ancillary attack, and the speed of death is so great. So what are you doing here?
So I'm hoping I can get lucky. These beast handlers no longer have beasts to tend to, so they're gonna go whip some things. I have a 1 crack at a 10 at Elara. I miss. And then 2 cracks at 7s on the Sentinel. They both miss. If I hit the Sentinel, he dies thanks to anatomical, and if I hit Elara, there's a very slim chance that I kill her, and then Discordia is not a thing I have to worry about.
That's pretty slim. Your dice minus effectively 10, so you need to roll a 15.
Yeah, no, it was slim, but like they're not doing anything else anyway, so they might as well just try to do stuff.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
Yes.
Wayne Gretzky?
Yes, Mr. Not Sports Guy.
I'm a Canadian. I at least know one Wayne Gretzky quote.
The only one.
There's also Stephen Harper is good for this country. Yep. That happened.
Let's moving swiftly forward.
The great one on the mediocre one.
Just an inch out.
Yeah.
Is the worst. So,
could you imagine if Tiberion had been like an inch back?
Yeah, I can't imagine. That's
Wait,
the
we don't
worst
have to
part.
imagine. He was an inch out.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm thinking, how do I avoid? Like, let's pretend the Hyperion doesn't exist. Let's just make it so that it can't do anything to me. Like, just he'll go away eventually. Just deal with it without him. I just want to make something happen. So I feel like I'm going to have to use the Bronzeback for something completely different. And that's going to be going to the opposite side of the table. Just leaving.
Okay.
Just making a new home somewhere else.
Fair.
And then the Gladiator.
He's a migrant, Bronzeback.
Yes. The Gladiator is going to just kind of start to make his way up as well.
He will also be finding a new home.
Yes, also be finding a new home. He's not going to leave the forest. He's stuck there unless he wants to rush himself. And he can't because he rushed the Bronzeback. Or will. Has.
That's
one
the
of
plan.
these things
It's the
will
working
happen.
theory right now.
The working theory. So that proxy base is roughly where the Bronzeback is going to end up. And I'm going to put 2 clouds between him and Hyperion so that Hyperion cannot charge him.
Clever.
Because
Hyperion walks 5 as 2-inch melee, so you're going to be 7 inches apart from Hyperion.
that's the plan.
Just with your dick out, just being like, yeah, Hyperion.
Yeah.
I'm an elephant.
Eat it. You can't charge me because you can't see me.
All of my threat extension is based on charging, and I no longer have the ability to give True Sight to my Colossal. Seems good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Zaadesh is pretty safe where he is. Like, just hiding. So he rushes and then moves 2 inches because he's in a forest because he didn't rush himself. And then loses a Fury thanks to Leadership Titans.
Yeah.
So
That Bronzeback doing so
good.
much Fury management for you.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And then he charges and murders some Sentinels.
Pays 1 to charge because you don't have prodding.
Yep.
Because I think like at this point, everything has to punch up in your list.
Yep. So the Beast Handlers did not activate or enrage because I figured he's going to have 1 Fury on him. Whoop-de-doo, he has to kill 2 Sentinels. It'll be fine. So these Beast Handlers are going to charge Sentinels. Needing 7s to hit. If they hit, they kill because anatomical precision is a thing.
50% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah. They're command 6, however, so I have to run these ones in the back and make sure everybody's all fine and dandy. The other thing I have to be careful of here is my placement of the clouds, because if I put a Beast Handler in a cloud, then Hyperion can just charge that instead.
Yep.
Which is not fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a weird, really complicated jamming turn where you're trying to get work out of units and you're trying to jam with them. So, I think it's good. I think you played it well. You place the clouds to protect the Bronzeback. The Sentinels are in the clouds, which also gives them -2 to attack rolls, which is kind of critical here.
Yeah.
Because they're going to try to make some vengeance attacks to clear Beast Handlers, and they can't take free strikes from Beast Handlers, or on a 5 they kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some complicated stuff here.
POW 8 is deceiving. So I also scoot Zaadesh around the other Gladiator. And I feel like I'm basically just... I'm not going to be able to pull out a scenario win here. Like, the Hyperion and the mob of Sentinels are just too much to handle.
So at this point, you're trying to jockey for position, keep pieces on the table, and wait for me to make a mistake?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, I either put clouds up, ignore Hyperion forever, and hope you make a move that lets me get a cheeky countercharge in that puts me in threat of things on my turn,
Mm-hmm.
or just waiting for you to put things in my threat anyway.
So I confirmed, like double check that you're out of 7. You sure are. Sentinel vengeance moves. I hit a couple. Like I got one guy out of the cloud. The guy who's in the cloud obviously missed at his mat 5 against your 13. Issyria, Arcanist advances, repairs Discordia's Cortex, which is clutch right now because
This is pretty...
Yeah, you're about to see a cute thing. I upkeep Speed of Death, and Elara activates. She makes a melee attack, kills this guy, uses Extraction to allocate a free focus to Discordia, spends 2 to cast Convection at the Beast Handler, boosts to hit, hits, kills it, Convection allocates a free focus to Discordia, and Elara Speed of Deaths onto the flag.
Super techie play there.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Discordia is going to do his Discordia thing.
So she charges, boosts to hit a Beast Handler, kills the Beast Handler, and then Speed of Deaths to screen Elara on the flag.
It's pretty good.
They're so mobile as a module. Like they just go so far.
Mm-hmm.
I also, this might be a mistake here. So I move Issyria up. I move her such that she's out of range for the Gladiator to rush itself and charge her. Because if Zaadesh has flank, it's a bit of a problem for me. So I ancillary attack to hit the Gladiator and just brain damage it so that it can't.
This is where you don't do damage to it.
Yeah, no, that's really relevant. So my goal here was to use the ancillary attack spray to brain damage the Gladiator. Zaadesh sack punch the Gladiator. I have 2 cracks at breaking its armor. I break it on neither occasion. So I'm like, okay, that's maybe a problem because now the Gladiator can cast Rush, but I'm still out of its threat range. So that's fine. I cast Inviolable Resolve on myself. Ben Devin countercharges the Sentinel here.
So I'm now in threat range of Syria with a Gladiator.
So
which makes this much better for me.
Yeah. Okay, so this is obviously a mistake. But I went from the only thing that can possibly get to me is your Mat 7 caster who needs 9s to hit against my armor of 15 with Inviolable Resolve, and I've got multiple focus to camp, to you can now possibly get a flank War Beast on me. I mean, my goal was to pressure Scenario while staying really safe and deny him access to his relevant beast, and instead I think I may have actually put myself in threat in a kind of difficult situation.
Yeah, and both of these charges from Sentinels are on the objective, so they can't just say, oh, I'm attacking
can't just redirect
Gladiator
to the Gladiator.
now.
So I charged the first one into the objective first. He gets lit on fire, but he doesn't kill the objective in one shot, so the other guy has to attack the objective, and he does kill the objective. The ones who didn't really get much of a move put attacks into the Bronzeback and the Beast Handlers, respectively. They do pretty good damage to the Bronzeback, but I think they leave him on, 6 boxes?
Yeah, something along those lines. He's really hurt.
Yeah. So Hyperion is going to get a focus from an Arcanist, charge the Beast Handler here. If the initial attack hits, I am fine, and I can spend 1 to repair my shield. If the initial attack misses, I'll boost the second initial to roll that 7 on the second attack. So first initial, hits, kills, spend a focus, heal D3+1, heals for 3. So Hyperion is feeling really safe and in a position to start scoring Evan's other flag.
Yeah.
So my point right now is objective destroyed, score on a flag. I'm at 2 points. Next turn, I'm in a position to score 3 more points and win the game.
Because you can dominate for 2 in this.
I believe so. If not, I'm still well positioned.
It's not untrue. So here, I now have potentially an assassination that can happen. I can't charge with the Gladiator, and I can't run because I'm in a forest, so I'll lose a lot of movement to that.
Yeah, the only thing you have available is to rush yourself and trample, taking a free strike, not have your mind be crippled, and just engage Discordia.
Yep.
Or, pardon me, just engage Issyria.
Yeah. The mind being crippled thing, important because that stops my trample?
Yeah.
We may need to look that one up.
Anyway,
But
this is a relatively full health. I mean, I think totally full health.
he has not taken damage. He's been hiding behind the forest, casting Rush all game.
Yep.
And he didn't get brain damaged, so he can still cast
it's a
Rush.
bit of a confluence of events here. If I hadn't of failed to brain damage him twice, he wouldn't be able to cast Rush at all. If I hadn't messed up and let him countercharge me, he wouldn't be in a position to even get there. Like, they wouldn't have the threat range. So yeah, that's multiple screw-ups on my part, but at this point, that's what you're playing for, right, Evan? Like, I mean, that's what you're trying to do.
That's what I need to do.
Trying to use the depth of Zaadesh's toolkit to force me to make a mistake, because playing against him is very complicated.
Yeah. He asks a lot of questions.
He does. He asks really good questions.
So here's the trample. We do the free strike. I don't actually think I rolled damage for the trample.
So the free strike is from the guy you don't clip with the trample.
Yeah.
The guy you do clip obviously doesn't get a free strike.
Yeah.
I think we're right. You didn't roll, because at this point you're fairly all in.
But I do buy an attack on Issyria, which misses.
Yeah.
Which is fine because you don't have any dodge or the like. And it's important to note he doesn't have admonition on him, because I can countercharge off of admonition, which just makes the situation worse.
Yeah. I mean, I could have had admonition instead of inviolable resolve, but then you upkeep battle charge and get like 2 charge attacks against me. It allows me to avoid the flank, but actually it doesn't, because then you countercharge me with both beasts. Never mind. It's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah. So your charge attack hits. I reduce the damage. It does 8 points damage. You buy an attack, hit me.
Miss.
You hit me on the second one, do a truck ton of damage. Miss. Buy an attack.
The last Fury
Last one hits.
And kills.
Kills on the last attack. So that is a clinic on how to and how not to play Issyria.
Yeah.
Great game. I mean, obviously, it's that old War Machine adage that you're never out till you're out. I mean, it really just is a game that can swing, because of the potential of assassination is such a powerful rubber banding technique. It's a way to keep you emotionally invested in the game, and a way to just like steal wins from people who get cocky, which I did. Like, obviously, you can tell I did.
Yeah. Perhaps a bit overzealous with the ancillary attack. But you played well the rest of the game.
Sure. And I mean, there's a couple of good lessons to be learned on both sides of that particular game, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, please subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos like this. As we've mentioned a few times before, we will, I believe, be starting to do video casts fairly soon. We're hoping that Sunday, March the 5th, which will be a couple of days after I get back from my honeymoon, will be the first video cast, which we'll be talking about our performance and our games at the Ontario Team Championship, which is the day before.
Yep.
So, like our channel, subscribe, follow us on Twitch if you're interested in that kind of video cast. And if you'd rather watch a recorded version of it, we should have it posted very shortly thereafter. Thanks so much for checking us out, and I'll see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.